Hello. Welcome to tonight's bedtime story by Lucid Tales. I hope your day has wrapped you in a cloak of warmth and held you gently. But whether it has been sweet delight or cloying stickiness for you, it's time to relax now. Find somewhere comfortable, maybe your bed or a favourite armchair, and make sure you're ready for sleep. Gently rub the back of your neck and shoulders if you can, and feel the freedom in your muscles, the little loosening that means it's time for bed. Tonight's story is Fair, Brown and Trembling, an old Irish tale that might sound quite familiar. Once upon a time, there were 3 sisters, called Fair, Brown and Trembling. Fair, whose skin was pale as silver with hair of gold, and Brown, with skin like fine bronze and hair like the raven's wing, had new dresses and went to church every Sunday, while Trembling was kept at home to do the cooking and work and dressed in rags. They would not let her go out of the house at all, for she was far more beautiful than either of them, and though she was the younger, they were afraid that she might marry before they did. They carried on this way for 7 years. At the end of 7 years, the son of the king of Amania fell in love with Fair, the eldest sister, and began to pay court to her. One Sunday morning, after the other 2 had gone to church, the old henwife came into the kitchen to Trembling and said, "You should be in church today, not working here at home." "How could I go?" said Trembling. "I have no clothes good enough to wear to church, and if my sisters saw me there they would kill me for going out of the house." "I'll give you a finer dress than either of them has ever seen," said the henwife. "What kind of dress would you have?" "If I could have any dress," Trembling said, "I would have a dress as white as snow, and green shoes for my feet." Then the henwife put on her cloak of darkness, clipped a piece from the old worn clothes that Trembling wore, and asked for the whitest, most beautiful dress in the world, and a pair of fine green shoes. In but a moment she had the dress and the shoes, and she brought them to Trembling, who put them on. They fit perfectly. When Trembling was dressed and ready, the henwife said, "I have a honey bird here to sit on your right shoulder, and a honey finger to put on your left. At the door stands a milk-white mare with a golden saddle for you to sit on, and a golden bridle to hold in your hand. Now remember, Trembling, you must not go inside the door of the church, and the very minute the people rise up at the end of Mass, you must leave and ride home as fast as the mare will carry you." When Trembling arrived at the church, everyone who caught a glimpse of her was whispering and trying to find out who she was. When they saw her hurrying away at the end of Mass, they ran out to overtake her, but she was away before any man could come near her. From the minute she left the church until she got home, she overtook the wind before her and outstripped the wind behind. When she went into the kitchen, she found that the henwife had dinner ready. She put off the white dress and bundled it away, and had on her old dress in a twinkling. When the 2 sisters came home, the henwife asked, "Have you any news today from the church?" "We have great news," said they. "We saw a wonderful grand lady at the church door, wearing the most beautiful dress ever seen. It's little that was thought of our dresses beside what she had on. There wasn't a man at the church, from the king to the beggar, who wasn't trying to look at her and know who she was." The sisters would give no peace till they had 2 dresses like the one of the strange lady, but honey birds and honey fingers were not to be found. Next Sunday, the 2 sisters went to church again, and left poor Trembling at home to cook the dinner. After they had gone, the henwife came in and asked, "Will you go to church today?" "I would go," said Trembling, "if I could get the going." "What dress would you wear?" asked the henwife. "The finest black satin that can be found, and red shoes for my feet." "What colour do you want the mare to be?" "I would have her so black and so glossy that I could see my reflection in the shine of her coat." The henwife put on her cloak of darkness, and asked for the dress and the mare. In but a moment she had them. When Trembling was dressed, the henwife put the honey bird on her right shoulder and the honey finger on her left. The saddle on the mare was silver, and so was the bridle. When Trembling sat in the saddle, the henwife ordered her strictly not to go inside the door of the church, but to rush away as soon as the people rose at the end of Mass, and hurry home on the mare before any man could stop her. That Sunday the people were more astonished than before, and gazed at her even more than the first time, and all they were thinking of was who she might be. But they had no chance to find out, for the moment the people rose at the end of Mass, she slipped from the church, was in the silver saddle and home before a man could stop her or talk to her. The henwife again had the dinner ready. Trembling took off her satin finery and bundled it away, and had on her old clothes before her sisters got home. "And have you any news today from the church?" asked the henwife, when Fair and Brown came from the church. "We saw the strange grand lady again, and it's little that any man could think of our dresses after looking at the fine dress of satin that she had on. And all at church, from high to low, had their mouths open, gazing at her, and no man was looking at us at all." The two sisters gave neither rest nor peace till they got dresses as nearly like the strange lady's robes as they could find. Of course they were not quite so good, for the like of those robes could not be found. When the third Sunday came, Fair and Brown went to church dressed in black satin. They left Trembling at home to work in the kitchen, and told her to be sure and have dinner ready when they came back. After they had gone and were out of sight, the henwife came to the kitchen and said, "Well, my dear, are you for church today?" "I would go," said Trembling. "But you need a new dress," said the henwife with a grin. "What dress would you like?" "A dress as red as a rose from the waist down, and white as snow from the waist up, a cape of green on my shoulders, and a hat on my head with a red, a white, and a green feather in it, and shoes for my feet with the toes red, the middle white, and the backs and heels green." In truth, Trembling had wondered if the henwife did not secretly have fine clothes hidden away in a chest. But once again, the henwife put on her cloak of darkness, wished for all of these things, and had them. When Trembling was dressed, the henwife put the honey bird on her right shoulder and the honey finger on her left, and, placing the hat on her head, clipped a few hairs from one lock and a few from another with her scissors, and that moment the most beautiful long hair cascaded over the girl's shoulders. Then the henwife asked what kind of a mare she would ride. She said white, with blue and gold-coloured diamond-shaped spots all over her body, on her back a saddle of gold, and on her head a golden bridle. The mare stood there before the door, and a bird sitting between her ears, which began to sing as soon as Trembling was in the saddle, and never stopped till she came home from the church. The fame of the beautiful strange lady had gone out through the world, and all the princes and great men that heard of her came to church that Sunday, each one hoping that he would be the one to take her home with him after Mass. The son of the King of Emania forgot all about Fair, and remained outside the church, so as to catch the strange lady to talk before she could hurry away. The church was more crowded than ever before, and there were 3 times as many outside. There was such a throng before the church that Trembling could only just come inside the gate. As soon as the people were rising at the end of Mass, the mysterious lady slipped out through the gate, was in the golden saddle in an instant, and sweeping away ahead of the wind. But as she fled, the Prince of Emania was at her side. He called out and reached to ask her to pause, but caught hold only of her foot. He ran beside the mare for another few paces before Trembling spurred her on, and left the son of the King of Emania holding nothing but her shoe in his hand. She rode home as fast as the mare could carry her, and was thinking all the time that the henwife would be mighty rageous with her for losing the shoe. Seeing Trembling so vexed and so changed in the face when she arrived, the henwife asked, "What's the trouble that's on you now?" "Oh, I've lost one of the shoes off my feet," said Trembling. "Oh, don't mind that now. Don't be vexed," said the henwife soothingly. "It may be the best thing that ever happened to you." Then Trembling took off her beautiful dress and hat and her one shoe and bundled it away, and by the time her sisters returned was hard at work in the kitchen, once more in rags. "And have you any news from the church today?" asked the henwife. "We have indeed," said they, "for we saw the grandest sight today. The strange lady came again, in even more splendid array than before. On herself and the horse she rode were the finest colours of the world, and between the ears of the horse was a bird which never stopped singing from the time she came till when she left. The lady herself is the most beautiful woman ever seen by man in Erin." Now, after Trembling had disappeared from the church, leaving the son of the king of Emania holding nothing but her shoe, he had said, "I will marry that woman." But the other king's sons who had come to the church scorned him mightily and said angrily, "She will not marry you just because you have her shoe. It does not make her yours. We will fight you, every one, for her hand." "Well," said the son of the king of Emania, "when I find the lady that the shoe fits, I'll fight for her, never fear, before I leave her to any of you." Then all the king's sons together began to travel all over Erin in a great company, searching for the mysterious grand lady. They went everywhere, north, south, east, and west. They visited every place where a woman was to be found, and there was not a house in the kingdom that they did not search to find the woman the shoe fit, not caring whether she was rich or poor, a queen or a peasant. The Prince of Emania always kept the shoe, and when the young women saw it they had great hopes, for it was of a proper size, neither large nor small, and many thought they could trick the king's sons by cutting a piece from their foot to make it fit, or by adding something into their stocking to bulk it out. But never once did it work. The shoe was of perfectly normal size, but would not fit anyone but she whom it had been made for, nor could anyone tell of what material it was made from. The two sisters, Fair and Brown, heard that the princes of the world were looking all over Erin for the woman that could wear the shoe, and every day they talked and daydreamed about trying it on and it fitting, until one day Trembling spoke up and said, "Maybe the shoe will fit me." "Oh, the breaking of a dog's foot on you!" cried Fair and Brown. "How could that be when you were at home every Sunday?" But on the day when the princes came, Fair and Brown pushed Trembling into a closet and locked the door so that "you will not shame us." When the company came to the house, the Prince of Emania presented the shoe to the two elder sisters, but though they tried and tried, it would not fit. "Is there any other young woman in the house?" asked the prince. "There is," said Trembling, calling out from the closet. "I'm here." "Oh, we have her for nothing but to put out the ashes," said the sisters. But the prince and the other king's sons wouldn't leave the house until she was let out and permitted to try on the shoe. So the two sisters had to open the door. When Trembling came out, the shoe was given to her, and it fitted perfectly. The Prince of Emania looked at her and said, "You are the woman the shoe fits, and you are the woman I took the shoe from." "Nonsense," cried Fair. "She's only a raggedy servant." Then Trembling spoke up and said, "Wait here." Then she went to the henwife's house. The old woman gathered out the clothes that Trembling had bundled away and dressed her as she had been the first Sunday, and put her on the white mare. Then Trembling rode along the highway to the front of the house. All who saw her the first time said, "This is the lady we saw at church." Then she went away a second time, and a second time came back on the black mare in the black satin dress. All who saw her the second Sunday said, "That is the lady we saw at church." A third time she went away, and came back on the third mare all covered in blue and gold diamonds, and wearing the third dress with a matching pair of shoes. And all who saw her the third time said, "That is the lady we saw at church." Every man was satisfied, and knew that she was the mysterious woman. Then all of the princes and great men spoke up and said to the son of the king of Emania, "You'll have to fight now for her before we let her go with you." "I'm here before you, ready for combat," answered the prince. Then the son of the king of Lochlin stepped forth. The struggle began, and a terrible struggle it was. They fought for 9 hours, and then the son of the king of Lochlin stopped, gave up his claim, and left the field. Next day the son of the King of Spain fought 6 hours and yielded his claim. On the third day the son of the King of Greece fought for 8 hours and stopped. The fourth day the son of the King of Romania fought 6 princes and defeated them all, and by the 5th day no more strange princes wanted to fight, and it was agreed that he could ask Trembling to marry him. She accepted, and the marriage day was fixed, and the invitations were sent out. The wedding lasted for 1 year and a day, all glory and partying like no one has ever seen before or since, with music to make a mountain dance and the stones weep. When the wedding was over at last, the king's son brought home his bride, and when the time came, a son was born. The young woman sent for her eldest sister Fair to be with her and care for her while she nursed her newborn child. But one day, when Trembling was well and when her husband was away hunting, the 2 sisters went out to walk along the sea line, and when they came to a sheer cliff, the eldest pushed the youngest sister in. A great whale came and swallowed her. Fair came home alone and dressed herself in Trembling's clothes, and as they did look very much alike, pretended to be her. And the husband asked, "Where is your sister?" "She has gone home to our father. Now that I am well, I don't need her." "Are you sure it is not my wife who has gone?" the prince asked, feeling in his heart that something was terribly wrong. "Oh no," said she. "It's my sister Fair that's gone. We do not look that much alike, my husband." But that night the prince laid his sword between them in the bed and said, "If you are my wife, this sword will grow warm. If not, it will stay cold." In the morning when he rose up, the sword was as cold as when he had put it there. Now it happened that when the 2 sisters were walking by the seashore, thinking themselves alone, that a little cowherd was down by the water minding cattle, and saw Fair push Trembling into the sea. And the next day, when the tide came in, he saw the whale swim up and throw her out on the sand. When she was on the sand, she said to the cowherd, "When you go home in the evening with the cows, tell the master that my sister Fair pushed me into the sea yesterday, that a whale swallowed me and then threw me out, but will come again and swallow me with the coming of the next tide. He will do this 3 times, for I am under the enchantment of the whale and cannot leave the beach to escape. I must wait here to be swallowed again. Tell my husband that unless he saves me before I am swallowed for the 4th time, I will be lost forever. He must come and shoot the whale with a silver bullet when he turns on the broad of his back. Under the breast fin of the whale is a reddish-brown spot. My husband must hit him in that spot, for it is the only place in which he can be killed." But when the cowherd went to the palace, Fair gave him a powerful drink and made him forget it all. Next day he went again to the sea. The whale came and cast Trembling on shore again. She asked the boy, "Did you tell the master what I told you to tell him?" "I did not," said he. "I forgot." "How did you forget?" asked she. "The woman of the house gave me a drink that made me forget." "Well, do not forget tonight, and if she gives you a drink, don't take it from her." As soon as the cowherd returned to the palace, Fair offered him a drink, but he refused to take it until he had delivered his message and told all to the master. And so on the 3rd day the prince went down with his gun and a silver bullet in it. It was not long before the whale came and threw Trembling upon the beach as the 2 days before. She looked at her husband, but had no power to speak. Then the whale went out, turned over once on the broad of his back, and showed the spot for a moment only. That moment the prince fired. He had but the one chance, and a short one at that, but he took it, and hit the spot, and the whale, mad with pain, turned the sea red with blood, and died. At last Trembling was able to speak, and went home with her husband, who sent word to her father of what Fair had done. Their father came, and had Fair put out to sea in a barrel, with provisions in it for 7 years in punishment for her terrible crime. The prince and Trembling adopted the little cowherd into their household and sent him to school, raising him as though he was one of their own. In time Trembling had a second child, a daughter, and said, If the little girl that is born to us now lives, no man shall marry her but the cowherd. The cowherd and the prince's daughter lived on until they were married. The mother said to her husband, "You could not have saved me from the whale without his help, and I am glad to have him for my son-in-law." The son of the king of Amania and Trembling had 14 children, and they lived happily together until the two died of old age. Good night. Sleep well, and I will see you tomorrow for another bedtime story.